It's my feel-good breakfast show.
Before we do anything, please can you do the movie talk pose? Please show me the pose.
It was the
man
pose and like
thinking.
the really like righteous music. Like I know we got the Thor trailer to talk about. Yo, Expresso. Like,
You deserve it, dude, because you are epic and we love it, man. I love it. Being a fan of film and how much we get out of it. And I think there is a deeper appreciation for film right now. And I love the fact that you have chosen to appreciate films that might not necessarily land at the center of the bullseye from a marketing spend.
Yes, sir.
Because they don't have the budget, but these are all amazing films.
Tiny little barbecue indie movies that I want to talk about today, the latest trailers that came out in the past week. And they won't see the light of day with a lot of us. Like if you look on YouTube, these are lucky to have 2,000 views.
But in that same vein, often when I follow one of your recommendations and watch one of these films, it's like life-changing because it's like, wow, this is such an amazing film, and I never would have seen it if we hadn't given it this light of day.
All we wanted.
100%, man. So let's talk about Poser.
Poser looks
Poser.
like one of these strange kind of, if you've been into Black Swan before,
Ooh, okay.
if you've been into like anything that has to do with sort of the obsession but tied in tandem with the craft. You think that you're pursuing something just for its own craft, think that you're pursuing something just for its own sort of like quality and pleasure that it brings you, whatever. But however, this is taking quite more of a modern bent on things because the young lady played there by the lady you're looking at.
She just looks so obsessed with something.
Well, like, interestingly, the trailer makes her out as, like, she's almost like a wallflower type thing.
Yeah.
She's not necessarily evil-looking necessarily. She's got a hard kind of stare of her own. She's mysterious-looking, a wall of depth of mysteriousness to her. She wants to start a podcast so that she can find a way to get in with the cool kids, kind of thing. Get in on the music scene of Ohio. So she interviews her, like, her biggest... like the acts that she was a huge fan of this whole time, but all the while the obsessions also get to her. She's actually there to be a climber in her own right, so gets more and more cutthroat. One of the artists who she loves most dearly like tells her she needs to take on this persona that isn't her, which apparently, you know, some of these musicians do. I've heard of like even say Nicki Minaj refer to herself in like third person.
Yeah, because they're performing, for sure.
And actually, interestingly, a Poser shot to Lost in Translation. So yeah, interesting kind of look to it. No date in it for SA just yet, but that whole bloodthirsty, vociferous kind of cutthroat thing really attracts people a lot. That cultishness to it all.
And visually, it looks beautiful. Absolutely enticing. Yeah. I love the sound of that. Los Conductos. Am I saying that right? Los Conductos.
It looks as weird as heck. Call it what you like. Los Conductos is interesting. So you had one from America there, tiny state of Ohio. Tiny state of Ohio. What am I talking about? Colombia is where this one is from. And, it is by a first-time director of narrative movies. Usually, I think he does documentaries ordinarily. The actor, the leading guy in this, his story is interesting because it is about his life. Now, these visuals are super interesting.
Wow.
If any of you know Alejandro Jodorowsky, please get a bit nerdy and look that guy up. His movies are weird, and this looks just as weird as Jodorowsky. Luis Felipe Lozano, it's actually about his real life. So the actor plays himself. Wow. The director is friends with the guy and had this really dangerous sort of feeling of, do I ask this guy to talk about his interesting and difficult life that he had? Previously was in a religious cult that he feels did him bad. We obviously don't know a lot of truths about whatever happened, what went down there, but the movie looks mysterious enough to look like it's never going to promise you that answer either, and wants revenge on these people who did him bad in this cult. A guy in real life was crack addicted, and had then to very intimately lay his body on the table for the director. So massively interesting visuals. It's almost got like a strange, like 70s kind of like.
I was going to say it seems a throwback to like the art house of a bygone era. But that's cool. I love the fact that this. I was joking about life imitating art, but this is it. This is life.
Yeah, and then the blurred lines between what is real and what is fake, because you can see the whole thing looks like really trippy, like a head. You know, does your head in type thing. Half based on real life of this guy, half, you know, strange psychedelic kind of drug-addled kind of trip. But also a really deep historical kind of question about what Colombia went through, like politically, whether in recent history, ancient history, etc., and it jumps all between.
But also, I love the fact that you're giving a human face to that narrative as well, and that's often the best way to experience a country's transformation is how it affected the people involved. I love that. Donbass, lastly.
Of the people involved, and like on the tips of everyone's tongues, we just saw it in the news right now. Ukraine, Donbass. Does anyone know what these names names mean Donetsk, Luhansk.
Yeah.
This is the east of Ukraine.
They've been in the news a lot.
Barely this region, though. I mean, despite the war having been raging for 8 years now, since about 2015 at least, is when it kicked off in its most heated way. The director is usually a documentary director. So what he did here is he took like viral sort of videos from East Ukraine. And elaborated on them in a narrative, fictional kind of way, effective way. So it's this dark comedy, but at the same time, really like hard-hitting and really difficult to watch kind of thing. No date for this in SA either, but look out for it at festivals. It will give you an interesting, different voice to something that we usually just see from one side or another.
Oh, I was going to say, in the propaganda-filled, polarized media that we exist, yeah, it's very difficult. So this might be a great opportunity for you to think about and assess what is actually happening, and most importantly, what is being experienced by the people who are there right now. Buddy, 3 fantastic films. On behalf of these cool little film companies, I thank you for bringing them to our attention. You guys can obviously explore these amazing films and go and expand your own consciousness, learn more about the world around you through the power of cinema. Love it.
It's my feel-good breakfast show.
Oh, it begs the thought, what are you thinking about with that epic music, man?
I'm still bobbing like Sesame Street here, like to the previous music.
Oh, man, that's so epic. I love it. So that's the perfect epic prelude to some epic films. Time
Yes.
now to track what you've been tracking
Yes.
in terms of new trailers.
Yeah.
Many of these trailers have got the studio buzzing, one in
Yeah.
particular. But let's start with one that's got me so excited for no other reason than the cast looks insane. The Northman, buddy.
You go ahead and read some of those names
Ooh,
for us. Why don't
Alexander Skarsgård, Nicole Kidman, Claes Bang, I don't know, Anya Taylor-Joy, Ethan Hawke, Bjork, Willem Dafoe.
Oh, geez,
Get
we
out.
were just talking about all the others. I forget poor Ethan Hawke. Like,
I mean, come on.
Nicole Kidman and Skarsgård, obviously previously, I think, in Big Little Lies, if I can have the TV
Yeah,
name
they
correct.
crackled in that.
And then previously,
yeah.
Willem Dafoe was with this director, Robert Eggers, in The Lighthouse, which is like lots of fun as well. People deserve to see that. Anya Taylor-Joy with the same director previously in The Witch.
Which is apparently terrifying.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite, man, which is spooky. This has a level, a thread of spooky to it, but mostly it's
Okay.
just action. It's Vikings.
Because that's what we want. An action. I don't think there were many kind of academic brooding Vikings. I think the majority of them were out there actionizing.
Well,
okay.
you'd be surprised. I think a lot of our laws are actually based on, let me not get academic though. What we're looking at there is...
But how often does this start with someone burning down someone else's thing and then all hell breaks loose?
which is the perfect kind of start that it deserves. Interestingly, the director here breaks from this previous studio he worked with A24, which usually is academic and quite brooding and do beautiful things with The Witch and with The Lighthouse. But this time with a studio that looks like it's just going to go whole hog action thriller, revenge story type thing. Anya Taylor-Joy will present some sort of role in this. Nicole Kidman will be some sort of role in this. Willem Dafoe will be some sort of role in this. But this is just what you need from a trailer, man. You don't give away the whole story.
Don't give
just
the
give us
plot
a
away.
feel.
Actually, looking at this, I don't care if there's a plot or
Exactly.
not. If I can just watch this for a couple of hours, I am happy. Just watching Alexander Skarsgård scream in wild rage before going into battle is enough for me, man.
But if you want at least a little bit of story, he starts off as a young boy who sees his father, the king, getting killed by another tribe.
9 arrows,
And then goes whole hog, revenge, rage,
one
across
must.
something like 4 different countries. It goes from Scotland to a bit in Ukraine, actually, Norway, Iceland, etc., to hunt down the man who did this. Looks really good. You got a date there for me, Graham? I can't remember. I think it's
It
June
is
the 7th.
releasing the
15th
15th of June. So a little bit of wait, 17th of June, my bad. But yeah,
Adrenaline, sorry.
definitely worth the wait. A lot of people, ooh, this one's bubbling under, very excited about the team behind Thor, Love and Thunder.
It's pretty fantastic to see Taika Waititi return. I mean, like
He's the guy. He's kind of a darling of Hollywood at the moment, eh?
Yeah, obviously the last thing was Jojo Rabbit, which took 1 Oscar, if I remember correctly. Before that, obviously Thor Ragnarok, which everyone knows and loves.
And that took this franchise in a slightly different direction,
And took
yeah?
Thor totally in a different direction. For a lot of people, he was the most most boring character before Taika Waititi comes along. And now I think he's Marvel's most beloved character. Am I right? Am I wrong? I don't know.
Yeah, man, and he's funny. His character
So
is
hilarious.
written funny, and all due credit to Chris Hemsworth, who's been able to play those lighter, funnier moments well, I think.
Oh, I mean, have a look, Graham. Don't peel your eyes away from the silliness of it all. Chris Pratt somehow in this. So they explain Sweet Child of Mine, who previously was used, I think, in Step Brothers. Interestingly, similar to Step Brothers, it's a bunch of people who are trying to fake that they've grown up, trying to fake that they've moved on. Chris Pratt is like taking almost like the paternal perspective perspective in this, where Hemsworth, on the other hand, is going through, it seems like a bit, yes, look at these shots, bruh, epic. Going through a bit of a midlife crisis, trying to get back on the horse kind of feeling of him.
So retirement isn't going well. He's back in the game. Yeah.
But he's trying to say, oh, yes, look at that shot. Killed myself laughing at that. Chris Pratt's like, look into the eyes of those you love. And just slides into the scene in a way that breaks all film laws in a way. And then Natalie Portman.
Hang on a minute.
Yes, that is right. The mighty Thor is what this looks like it's primarily based on. I hope that she's not just like a taster to a Thor 5.
Yeah.
But I hope that it takes like a huge prominent role. But there's a whole comic, I think, called The Mighty Thor, where
where they took it in a different route.
But Natalie Portman, like, you must be doing something right, Taika Waititi. If you've got Natalie Portman to return after she said she's not going to do superhero movies again, and Christian Bale, who we don't even see in this trailer, who plays Gore the God Butcher, saying after Batman, that's it.
Yeah.
And then because of this director, both of those people.
I love it, man. That's all the time we have. Dave Bautista in there as well. Jeff Goldblum, Vin Diesel, Bradley Cooper, all of our favorites. 2 unbelievably cool films with amazing casts, and they are there for you. This one's going out July the 8th. So yes, a little bit of the wait, but you can get even more excited about it. Look at teasers online.
Get pumped.
Enjoy it. Ask a question or two to this guy online as well, and he won't disappoint. JP Sebastian, you have not disappointed this morning. Thank you so much.